Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our match preview for RB Leipzig v Aston Villa in the Champions League. If you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing, smash the likes. Let's try and get 500 likes on this episode and comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, two questions to start with, generally what I'm going to be talking about. I want to know, how many points do you feel like it's going to take to get into the top 8 of the Champions League? And also, what's going to be your lineup for Leipzig v Aston Villa? So, Champions League, absolutely loving it. Say it every time. I think it's quality that we're in it. And I'm just really enjoying it. And I think now it's sort of this group phase stage is really getting to the business end now. 3 games to go. We're in a really good position. And I think it's time to get our European Villa headspace, getting points still, trying to do as much as we can to get into the top 8. So, Champions League table as it currently stands then, we've got Villa on 10 points, and there's a lot of teams on 10 points. So, 6th place to 12th place are all on 10 points. So, it's super tight, super congested. I kind of feel like 16 points would be enough. I think 16 points would get you top 8. I feel like 16 would get you there. Because obviously, down to 13th, they're on 9 points. So for them to get to 16 points, it's going to take an unbeaten run, 2 wins, and I think some of those teams might not have that in them. So I think for Villa, 16, 17, I think could definitely do it. So I think really it's important that we just keep this points tally ticking over. Now, we're playing Leipzig, and I kind of felt like when I was talking to Justin on the opposition piece, so Villa fans, go and check that out, an ultimate guide to Leipzig, that it was last chance saloon. They've got to win every single game. But I think that might not be enough. 9 points probably won't be enough, because if you look at it, Real Madrid are in 24th place on 6 points. They're obviously going to get more than 6 points. They're going to have enough to probably qualify. But the teams below that are on 4 points, if some of those get a win or 2 wins, then Leipzig are pretty much out of it. So I think Leipzig have a chance to qualify, but it's like a really slim chance. So I think they are a dangerous team, Leipzig. I think they are pretty good. I mean, they're doing well in the Bundesliga. They're sitting pretty high, but the Champions League form is just absolutely atrocious. And I think if you look at it based on a team that we're playing in the Champions League that are on 0 points, you'd look at it and think, yeah, we can go there, we can smash them, they're no good. But I think that Champions League position, they're better than that. They're better than no points. They're a team that are really dangerous with some really dangerous player. Openda, Sesko can pose teams problems. So we've got to be really careful in this game. One, not to underestimate them, which I don't think we'll do. But I think we've really just got to make sure that we take care of ourselves first. No mistakes. Clean sheet Villa in the Champions League, rock up. We take our chances. And I think we can pose this Leipzig team a lot of problems. In the Champions League, they've been playing with a 4 at the back. Recently, in the league, they've reverted to a 5 at the back, which is a little bit hybrid. If you look at the Leipzig form, and their manager has been coming under massive amounts of pressure because of the losses to Dortmund, Celtic. We've got the Milan, Wolfsburg loss. After the Wolfsburg, they've kind of tweaked the system to a little bit of a hybrid 5 at the back. They've got some injuries at the back as well. So the loss, I think it was 5-1, the loss to Wolfsburg at home, which was a really damning defeat. And after that, they've sort of changed their back line a little bit to be a little bit more shored up at the back. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what approach they take with Aston Villa and how they approach this game, because I've said that they've got a slim chance of qualifying. This is a must-win game for them. So they have to come out. They have to be a bit more expansive. They have to try and get the victory. Whereas Villa, we're in a position where points are very important, and to not lose is very, very important as well. I think when you're looking at any type of European competition, especially this one, I always remember when I used to watch it as a kid, and they'd always just go, win your home games, don't lose away. And I think that approach is pretty sensible, really. If you're winning all your home games, you should have ended up on 12 points. And then you get the little away win, or you draw games, and your points tally it's pretty decent, isn't it? So I think, yes, we want to win all of our games, but I think being clever, cute, cautious, and making sure that we don't lose this game is quite important. So let's have a look at what they've been doing and how they've been playing then. So we know that the RB model is based on gegenpressing and high intensity football. And in the Champions League, over their last 3 matches, shout out to Earl avfc Scout for doing me this graphic as well. They have been playing with a 4 at the back. So it's a 4-3-3. What you'll see from the 3 central midfielders, which I'll show you in a second, is it's a little bit like the Juventus setup. One drops, one goes to the left, and one goes to the right as well. And then you've got that dangerous front 2 of Openda and Sesko. We can see that Orban to Gertruda is their biggest combination of 27. We've then got a centre-back to Campbell, who's got 25. Centre-back to Lukeba with 24 as well. So really getting the ball into the attacking players has been a little bit of a problem. You can see that you can't see Sesko. You can't see Openda's name on there. So, they're really having the ball that's been limited into those front players. If we take a look at their passing areas of influence, you can see that down the left-hand side, that is the area that they're doing a lot of damage. You can see that sort of Openda sometimes peels off a little bit, and he gets a little bit more of a threat on the left-hand side as well. Right-hand side, it's heavy, but you can really see the area in which Leipzig are attacking teams, especially in the Champions League. So Leipzig, their system looks like this. There's a few ways in which they've been doing things at the back. So if you look at it, it looks like a sort of a 5 at the back, which is a little bit hybrid at times. Nusa is the one that will always go forward. And then what happens with these 4 defenders changes quite a lot depending on the game that they're playing in. Some games you'll see that it'll become a 3, and Heinrich will go into a central midfield position, and it'll look something similar to that. If it's not that, in some games you'll see that it'll just be that flat back 4, and then Nusa will be the one that's going forward on the left-hand side. You can see the central midfielders. Haidara will go on the left. Vermaelen will be the one that's just offering that little bit more protection to the defence. And Baumgartner will go onto that right-hand side, and they will always go with that front 2 of Openda and Sesko. Openda, lively, quick movement, can drag defenders out of position, can peel off a little bit more. And then Sesko is the one that is probably a little bit more clutch. He's kind of got that real sense of unpredictability about him. He's got quick feet. He's got a really good header on him. He can shoot from distance. So he is a little bit different to Openda, but they both complement each other quite well. They've got a pretty good partnership. Sesko's goals this season aren't that high. And I think if you're looking in European football, and we're talking about, if I said name one of the best young strikers in Europe, you'll go Sesko. Pretty much most clubs wanted him in the summer, but Duran's got more goals than him this season. Duran's younger, So I think sometimes when you look at these players across Europe and you're thinking that these are really like good strikers, which he is, Duran's name needs a lot of respect putting on it because he's young, he's scoring goals. Duran is one of the best young strikers in world and European football. And that is the caliber of player that we've got on our hands at Aston Villa. So Duran, he's one of the top strikers in Europe. And we are really lucky to have him because he's that good. So big up Duran. And I just wanted to show the comparison of like how players can get hyped. And I'm not really seeing Duran's name as hyped as someone like Sesko. So that's how they will generally set up. It could be an out-and-out back four. It could be a three with a fullback going into midfield. Truder can play on the left and the right. Some games I've seen this season, Gertruda is the one that's gone into a central midfield position as well. He's playing on the left. He's playing on the right. They can mix it up. They can switch it around a little bit. So depending on the game, depends on what that back line's going to look like. I'd probably say it's going to be a flat back four against Villa because they're going to have to pressure us. They're going to have to try and win the game. So they're going to be going for it, in my opinion. They're not going to keep it tight and cagey. That's not the type of game that I think that they're going to want to have against Aston Villa. So I've got some images here of some of the games that I think are relevant to playing against Aston Villa and some of the areas that I think Villa can do a lot of damage. So we are brilliant at exploiting this. Like any team that comes up against Villa that's got this set up, we have got players that can hurt this in abundance. Ollie Watkins peeling off, whether you're going long, whether you're playing it on the floor, whether he's dragging players. We've got players that can get on the ball and dribble. So I think we've really got players that can hurt this Leipzig back line. Leipzig this season, they're not defending the greatest. They are very, I say the word flat. I think when I've seen them, they're a bit flat. They're a bit looking round for options. They get into positions that you wouldn't really want them to be in. This instance, I'll show you time and time again that you can see that their defense is exposed with a lack of midfield protection. Forward line players are able to run. Players are able to expose them. You're able to have blindside runners. You're able to run through them on transition. So defensively, they can be got at, and I would imagine that Villa will be able to pose some big problems. Again, we've got another one here where the player's not closed down. He's able to get his shot off. There's a lot of standoff defending where players aren't being engaged. We've got another one here as well. It's another 2v2, a situation that, I'm looking at Ollie Watkins in this game thinking you're going to be able to run off, peel off, get the ball, and you're going to be able to dribble towards the goal. So it's important that Villa have got players that are backing up Watkins, and we are able to just follow him up and give him an option that he can either pass or an option where a Villa player can drag another player out of position, which will open up even more space for him. Again, Celtic were able to get massive amounts of joy against Leipzig. They were able to expose this back three. They were able to get runners that were able to go in behind the Leipzig midfield. Ball carriers are very good against Leipzig as well. Players that can just break through and just tear down on that goal as well. Another option here as well, something that I've picked up on, are these blindside runners that are able to peel off and run off players. Leipzig were pretty decent in this opportunity here of trying to close down this player, but the naivety about their defending is that they're leaving players like this isolated. So you can see this ball can go in behind, and then these two players are just not in the right position to be able to mark this player. You give players time that are able to get their head up and opportunities, then you think they'll be able to put balls in and deliver. Again, we've got another opportunity here where there's a player just off screen that's been able to play this ball right into this danger zone. And this player here is able to tear down on goal and get a shot off. So again, these players are doing pretty well to sort of try and shut out the right-hand side, but it's just too easy to play through. A little clip ball, a little runner from midfield is able to get a shot off as well, and you're taking players out of the game as well. One area that I think they aren't defending very good as well is cutbacks. So if you imagine Villa with players like Morgan Rogers, who's just played through and clicked in through to a Luca Dean, who's able to get to the byline and put a ball across the box. In these areas, players aren't being marked. There's a lot of players that are just standing still. And then we've got another one here where there's the same opportunity. A ball's gone in here and they're able to score as well. So those are some of the areas that I've highlighted in areas that I think that Villa will be able to get some joy and really try and exploit this Leipzig team. So if we go now, and I think this is probably one of the big talking points in this game is what's going to be the Villa lineup. And I think for me personally, there's a lot of options, and I'm going to run through them all. And I've put one player on the thumbnail before Matty Cash came back into the team, before he scored at the weekend, actually. So we designed the thumbnails, and I said one player needs to go on because sometimes you get in a bit of a position where you keep putting the same players on a thumbnail, like the creative ones like Rodgers, Watkins, Bailey, etc. And some players get left out. Cash gets left out, but I'm putting him on there, and he's important. Matty Cash is very important, and I've had an idea. Now, big problem number one for Villa is Bailey. He's out. So Bailey, hamstring, out for, I imagine, a few weeks. Now, I imagine some are saying that's not a problem because he's not playing well, he's not scoring. But what Bailey does to the team and how we play, it's quite important that the right-hand side he plays, the one that's offering full width to Aston Villa. Now, without him, the options are there. We've got options. We can play Jadon. We can play players in there that I don't think are suited. But we can also play a player in there that I think is a little bit left field, but I think could work. Right, lineup then. Let's predict the lineup. I want to know what your lineups are. The lineup to predict is very difficult because it could be anything. So this is what we're going to do. Right, so let's go lineup-wise then. So lineup, we're going to go with Martinez in goal, Luca Dean at left back. We're going to go with Pau, and we are going to go with, we'll go with Carlos for now, and we'll go with Cash. So here's the first option that we could go with. Digne, Pau, Carlos, Cash. I think Mings is really important for Nottingham Forest against Chris Wood in the air. So with that in mind, I think Pau starts this game. And with how Leipzig play and the space, Pau is really important in this game. And then we can go with Carlos or Cash. Or we could go Konsa and Carlos. So if it was something like this, we'd probably go with Konsa, actually. Right, so if it's that. Then we go into midfield area. And I do think Kamara's so important for us, and so's Tielemans. But can they play Tuesday, Saturday? That's the big problem there as well. Is that Kamara's playing a lot of games. What do we do? Do we need to bring in an Onana? Do we need to bring in a Barkley? So I think that's an option there as well. Right-hand side, if you're talking like for like, I imagine like for like is Jadon. Watkins is definitely going to play in this game for me. and so is Rodgers. Rodgers is definitely going to play in this game as well. So we'll go Rodgers. Where's Rodgers gone? Right, Rodgers on the left. We'll go with Watkins, and we could go with McGinn. So this is option number one, right? So option number one would be something similar to this, I think. Right, let's just try and find McGinn. Right, this would be option number one, I think. So Jaden would do the Bailey role, out wide, stay wide, be disciplined. I think maybe if Jaden knew he was starting the game, his headspace could get quite good. He could prepare for it really well. And I think that would be option, and it would be a decent option. If it's not going to be Jaden out wide, we've seen that it would be McGinn out wide. And I think with McGinn out wide, that's okay, but McGinn wants to come in through there. So you would be asking Cash to offer the width through there as well, which would mean that we're definitely going to need some protection there. And McGinn is going to have to do a little bit of defensive work as well, that when Cash goes forward, McGinn has to drop, so that we would still have that back three sort of vibe in there as well, which I think is okay as well. With that, then I would go with Duran up top. Now, with Duran, I personally think this would be a good game for Duran. I think because Leipzig play with that front two as well, I think we could probably match that and do the same, which we do anyway, but with more or less two strikers. Now, the other cheeky option that I've got, and we've seen this before, is that what about if we take... Who could we take out? We take McGinn out, and we played Cash as the winger. Now, we've seen this away at Burnley last season, that we did this. And what we could do here now, so we've got the four at the back, we've got two in midfield, we've got two either side. So there we go. Right. So with this, we could have Cash as the wide player. And I actually feel like this could possibly work. Maybe if we had Cash, we'd have to probably take out Duran and put McGinn in there. But I also feel like that might be a little bit of an option of what we could do as well. If he wants to really stick with the wide player being a big threat, then McGinn can do it, but it's okay if he does that. It's not the best, is it? Because he wants to come inside more. And then you're not going to have... You could have the right back as Cash, and then he'll give you some width as well. But I feel at least with this, you're gonna know that Cash is gonna offer a threat. Cash is gonna whip a ball into the box. That, you know, he's got that in his locker, hasn't he? That he can whip a ball in. So I think this would be a little bit of a left field option with Cash, but it's very, very cheeky, and it would be something completely different. If I had to pick the team of what I think what would I like to see? I would like to probably see this, you know. I think he'll go with McGinn out wide because he's done it before. But I would like to see Duran play, because Duran's scoring goals, and I think for those cutbacks that I showed you earlier in the box, Duran will finish them. Duran will finish them cutbacks. And if you're looking at goals across our team at the minute, and Duran's Premier League goals and his Champions League goals, Duran's one of our biggest goal threats. So with him in the team, he's going to offer a massive threat. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to bring in someone like Onana maybe, and maybe rest Kamara, or he might bring Barkley and rest Tielemans. But I think this lineup's going to be one of them where you look at it and you're like, oh, I didn't pick it. I didn't call it. But so those are the options. I think the right-hand side is an area that we've really got to just make sure we make the right decision with the lineup. So if we have a little look at just how that front two of Sesko and Openda are going to operate then. So if we have a little look here at where they're going to be playing, so you can see here this was against Frankfurt. So Sesko, he's attacking the goal, so he's got that threat on the right hand side, and Openda he's on that left hand side. Touches in the box are a little bit limited as well. If we have a look at their game that they played at the weekend, which they won 2-0, you can see here that, you know, second half that they had a bit of a battering, to be fair. You can see that they had 17 shots so against Leipzig, and then here we can see that again Openda, Sesko, and it was more of an out and out back four at the weekend. So Gertruda was on the left, and we'd got Henriches on the right as well. If we have a quick little look against Frankfurt, and you can see what they did with their back four there as well. So what you can see is you've got Seewald, you've got Orban, and we've got Gertruda on the left, and then you've got the right back who's kind of inverting a little bit. So those are just all the different options of what they've been doing. So I think the team's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting what he does. The fact that he rested Cash would probably tell me that Cash is going to come in to this team at some capacity where he plays, whether it's a little bit further forward, whether it's a right back who's going to be sort of going a little bit further forward, or whether he's being asked to sort of tuck inside. I think it's going to be interesting as well. But I think especially against Sesko, we're going to need that little bit of physicality in there at the back as well. So maybe it could be a Carlos that plays as well. Carlos played well at the weekend. So I think that's pretty much everything from me, really. I think I've gone through most things. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting game. I think Champions League football, you know, I'm absolutely loving it. So make sure if you want to find out more information about Leipzig, then check out the ultimate guide that we did with RBL Talk. Really good episode. So make sure you're checking that out. Give it some love. Make sure you dropping it a like as well. So next up, I will see you on the match reaction, where hopefully we're talking about another clean sheet, another victory, and we are looking very good in that Champions League table. So cheers, everyone. Up the Villa.